Alright, Champions of Boulevard first jump. Alright, so our idea for this first jump is that we're going to go off this ledge at a certain speed so that we drive off and then our taxi turns by 270 degrees at some point. Right, like this, and hopefully lands on its belly when it hits the bottom of the second cube here. That's the idea of this jump. Now doing it, well, a lot harder said than done, of course. Now, a lot harder done than said, well, whatever, you get what I'm saying. For these jumps, I'll let go of my keyboard the moment I'm off the edge, so I'll go too fast and see what happens. Alright, so our taxi didn't turn enough there. It did tilt to another direction, left or right, of course. You can get lucky like this too. This is actually a good example to show on accident. You can land back on the track, like in this case I got a bit unlucky and my taxi got immediately stuck anyway. So you shouldn't give up immediately if you don't land the jump, just in case you land back on the track. So do take mind of that. So the taxi didn't tilt enough, it didn't do that 270 degrees to land on its belly. Even though we were on the bottom here to give us as much speed as possible. This is because the taxi is tilting more from the jump when it was given more, when the magnet was given more time on the edge to grab onto the top of this cube here in order to tilt the taxi. So the taxi will actually tilt more if you go at a slower speed. Now again, I don't have keyboard input, so you're going to have to trust me on this. So I'll start about halfway up the cube and then go, and I'll let go of the keys. So taxi tilted too much. I'll explain why that's actually still my favorite position. It's when W is pressed all the time, and I'll explain why it matters in a moment. Alright, guess it's time for me to explain steering the taxi in midair, and I know that sounds stupid, give me a second. But we can notice it, I'll do it with this. Taxi in midair, press W, my nose of the taxi goes upwards. Give me a second. Alright, I'll do the same, but I'll press S. Okay, S. Now it tilts the nose downwards. It's very slow compared to W though, so it's very impractical, so I don't really use it in a real game. Now I'll show what happens when you press A or D when you're going off a cliff. So A, D, nothing happens. But if I press W and D, this happens. And W and A, makes the other side go up. Right? So you need to have W pressed if you're going to tilt left or right in midair. This is useful for when, how do I say this? Physics RNG dispersion, which is why your taxi tilts to left or right even if you align completely straight on this first cube. It can counteract that, so if your taxi tilts, let's say, downwards on the right, you can press W and D on your jump to slow it down in that direction so it lands more flat. So that's to show what I mean. I think this picture here is a great visualization of what it looks like. So pressing W and D will make this corner turn upwards, 45-degree angle, and pressing W and A will make this side go up. I think that's the way to visualize it. So I'll try to show an example of this. Right, now, this is like around the spot where I like to jump off. I like doing this as well, it's easier for my head, but I'll stop in a certain position and then slam on W, so I go off this edge at a consistent speed, rather than using my intuition or trying to judge off the engine sound, which I think is kind of dumb. So it's around here. You can mark it as like a taxi of gap between this line here. You see where the muscles going? A taxi of gap, and then oh, here's the boot. Or around where the flashlight ends, around there, roughly. Okay, I think I had too little speed because I tilted too much even though I was pressing W the entire time. And in that case, my taxi didn't randomly tilt left or right, which helps this. So keep that in mind. The way your taxi spins, let me get a notepad of that. And let me just do a summary again, because taxi's tilting downwards to 70 degrees to land there. Right, downwards. Pressing W makes the nose tilt upwards. It will slow it down, and that's why, because going at a slower speed will make us tilt more, I will need to press W to slow that down, so I can afford to start at a higher level than usual if I'm just going to let go of all the keys the moment I'm going off the edge. And this also gives me more room to steer the taxi, which is why it's my more favourite, because if I do a jump that's just letting go, then it's all just up to physics RNG, whether how much the taxi tilts left or right. I also think there's some physics RNG into how much the taxi tilts downwards, so you have to keep that in mind too. Here it is. Alright, like this. Alright, just some bonus notes. The bumper may affect physics, so if it's removed, that may change to physics. The guest in taxi does affect physics. I'll try to prove this. Alright, try to use this system. So I'll go off the second jump. I know this goes into second jump with as much speed as I can. With the guest in. Do note that. I'm not sure if I'll land this due to my aim, because of, you know, geometry, my aim being even a bit off can land this jump or not. So it makes it. I know, well, it makes it as in the taxi hit this top part here. I know it didn't actually make it as in the taxi glued on, which is why, due to technical reasons, this isn't my favorite way to do this jump. Right, but that's with the guest. Okay, trying it without the guest. See how far it makes it. And as you can clearly see, this taxi has gone way up. And is clearly going to make it way over this top part here. This is because I think the guest gives more weight to the taxi, so it wouldn't have gone upwards this much. And I think I've already proved a point here. I can't be bothered to wait for it to fall down. So yeah, that's just another note you have to keep in mind. The guest in taxi does affect physics, and you won't want to practice without the guest in your taxi because you will be getting fake results. For why that's my favorite jump for first jump, you'll just have to trust me on this. Just look at this. I've done my research, tried going off the side at an angle. So you'll just have to trust me. Just this right here, favorite jump position to start with for the first jump. I'll try moving on to the second jump now. Now just a wee little preference by me, but I prefer to start around here. Give me more gap than the end of my flashlights because I feel like I'm in control. Now, I can see my taxi's tilting like this, so I'm pressing W-A, right? So now let's keep it more flat. Make this upper part go up. Pressing W because I want to slow down that tilt. In this case, I landed fine. This one's more practice, I'd say, compared to the first jump. And learning when to press W, when you can let it go and let the taxi tilt more in order to go more flat. Just summary is that the more flat your taxi lands, the more likely you are to make the jump. Odd move. Never really had problems with this. It's just go with this setup here. Let me try to find it. Odd. Yeah, odd move. I don't know if you saw that. But yeah, this. And that usually makes it almost every time. I'll just do the whole thing at this point just for a whole summary. I don't recommend doing it that way. I change it up in Victor's Avenue for later reasons. Okay, my taxi tilted a bit right there, so I press WD to keep them off straight. I'll make it up here and then I'll wait for taxi days to go off. I do -11 in my head each time they go off, so I know when it goes off. So next time is 252 seconds. Which means I'm going to trust staying when I go off the time. I'm playing it safe. I know I can play it faster, but I'll just play it safe for this video. Okay, so I miscalculated, so that's actually more like 242. Next time it's going to go off. I'll wait. Second jump. I think I can make this one. I think I don't have to wait for the lasers this time. And I'll press W here. I'm gonna keep some importance here. I'm keeping my camera staying in one point, so I know which way is up. That's especially useful later on when you get fog in levels. Now it's unfortunate that I had to land like this. Again, I don't land it every time, and I'm still working on this myself. Okay, I did get lucky and get to land like this. Still need practice. I'm still rusty. I think I needed to go off at a slower speed, so we'd have more control. Okay, a line for this. Good. Ooh, ah. There we go. And that Shimmers VAD completed.